Okay. Hello there. Welcome to another Thoughts On video. This is MVM Transmission RC1. So I forget how long this map has been in development for, but it is... I'm not sure if you could hear that, but there was a soundscape there. But I'm not entirely sure how long this map has been in development for, but it's been a few months. And I've left a little bit of feedback on this during its development, and now that it's in RC1 and I've been asked to look at it by the other pre-judges and Madness is a Machine, I thought I would... After looking at the demo, I thought I would actually sit down and give my thoughts on the sort of detailing that has gone into this map, some of the assets that have gone into this, some of the thought processes about this map that I think it has gone through, give my thoughts on it, because I do feel like there is quite a bit I would like to touch on for this map. I can't do in text form, so that's why I'm here. I'm rambling a little bit, but the first thing I should note is this map was originally almost space themed in a way. We used a lot of the space interiors from Asteroid. I keep hearing these soundscapes. You probably can't hear them on the recording because they're quiet as hell when I'm looking at the audio levels here. Like, they're going down to -40, so we're gonna have some fun and just have no limit on that. But maybe we can hear it. As far as I know, this soundscape is entirely custom. Except for this. Once we step into here, it's almost like a soundscape actually starts. I didn't actually notice this when I was playing. I was watching a demo, but right here is an actual background noise. But here everything goes quiet. I'm looking at the thing, but every now and then a random sound file pops off and plays, and I'm not entirely sure. There's another one right there. It's still going. These are really obvious, like, home recordings. I'm not even sure what they're supposed to be, but they don't sound that great. Ends up making this whole area just feel really, really quiet. And for RC1, you might as well have something else playing here. Yeah, there goes another. Anyway, let's begin. So, this map's supposed to be, as far as I can tell, a spy tech area disguised as a warehouse, which is something classic to do, but hey, if you can make it look nice, and it looks really nice. I don't entirely think this map gets it right off the bat, but parts of it look fine, parts of it I have a lot of my own thoughts on. One thing I should note, I do have a little bit of involvement with this map, and that's with all the pickups. I threw around pickups that I thought would work in the map, and as far as I know, none of them have changed, so I'm responsible for those, I guess, but whatever. Immediate first thoughts is this Out of Bounds. It's really weird. First time I saw this, I just... this looks really weird. The same empty soundscape is still playing, and it is quiet. It is not... my footsteps are louder than it. But this Out of Bounds is really weird. You can see like ends of it right there. This displacement work is very bumpy. It doesn't seem there was any sort of smoothing process going into that. The displacement tool has a smoothing tool that you can use to sort of round out bumps in your map or in your displacements. You just set the radius up enough where it's at least enveloping to like another vertice, and then the displacement tool attempts to smooth them out, although it can make things a little bit flatter. I would highly recommend that for this, because at the moment, especially when this is all grass and I can just move my camera over to the side so I can see the fog, or I can see the terrain through the fog, it makes it look a lot weirder. So, since this is like one of the only out-of-bound pieces that you ever see in the map, I feel like it is fair to comment on it, because it is quite awkward to look at. These fences are weird. You should move this over. Well, you should have this be the end of a prop, and then over here, when this goes in, there's a separate prop in TF2 that is just the pole, and you can have it end there. It'll look better. Actually, why is this prop non-solid? There's no reason for it to be non-solid. Like if there's a player clip there stopping it, but there's no reason for it to be non-solid. Not really. Anyway, let's head back. Ooh, I never noticed that. That is weird. For one reason I have. Who's gonna be noticing this? Actually, I never even noticed this at all. If anything, you'd probably want this to be feel noticeable. Actually, this piece here actually ties into the rest of the map. And I don't think most players are ever going to look at this. Not only is this a kind of a weird building in itself, nobody will ever see this. That's what I was at. Nobody. Why do you need this man cosine here? What is it accomplishing? It's not really accomplishing anything. It's just there. Like, who's gonna be looking at it? Poor old Joe, sitting here trying to eat a sandwich on break. Has to be reminded that he works for Manco, I guess. Like, it's being shown to no one, which is unfortunate. These supports are weird. First of all, they are mighty thin. Second of all, they're not actually... Oh, they are kind of connected, but it's in a weird spot. These supports are weird because you have these sort of supports here. Only one, but I feel like this sort of support beam, where, you know, you have another piece right here to connect it all together, looks a lot better than this flimsy piece of metal that will snap over any sort of weight being applied to it. So yeah, a lot of this sort of almost out of bound detailing doesn't really look quite right, but you can take that as you will. This top's a little bit boring. I don't know how I feel about every roof of this being flat. Because I'm very used to warehouses having, you know, a triangle roof, or at least something going on. You could put a trim on this to make it look neat. It's usually what I do when I have some sort of flat rooftop, is that there's some sort of trim to separate it from the rest of the building. And yeah, I mean, you could try that, but you know, whatever. Also, this is all an OSHA violation. You could have fences going along here if you expect, if it was like, it would be workers working up here. You could have some sort of fencing going along and make it look nice. At the moment, it's just very bland. And I just now noticed this now that I'm running around the map. What's this wet paint sign for? What is this for? There's no paint here. This is just brick. There's no paint. Why here? Yeah, this... you don't need that there. I feel iffy about a lot of these windows, but I'm not entirely sure what I'm iffy about on them. Also, no, I probably won't be talking about gameplay too much because I actually haven't played this version of a map. Oh. I never noticed that before. But then... apparently there's some soundscape playing, but it's also very quiet. Okay, let's head over here because we need to continue along. So earlier I mentioned that this map is kind of doing like a hidden spy tech thing. So here that is. I'm not really sure how I feel about this go at the art pass because it feels weird in a way. First of all, I'm not too big of a fan of the color choices. And that's part of the fault of the fact that you went with this color at all. It's because you have these lines going up here. Then if you're standing like right here and you're not looking at the connector, they go up and then they break across this other red thing going on. I don't know what this is. It looks a bit weird to me, and the difference in color definitely throws that off for me. And then you got these metal piping. I want to call this piping, but it could also be wiring hidden in giant metal boxes. What I'm saying here is that this looks blocky and weird, and you have light fixtures hanging off of it. It seems very odd and not really safe, since this is connected over to here, which is computers. These are computers, which I've spoiled the map, but there's computer textures here from Half-Life 2. It's kind of noticeable, but not really. But those are air and behind dispensers, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But yeah, that's like carrying wiring along, and it looks very weird. It looks very blocky, and also the grittiness. First of all, these are using the cross sort of. I forget what this is called, but this is using like the gripping they would have on metals that would be on the floor here, like this. This is what that's supposed to be. While up here, you're using that for something. I don't know what this is supposed to be. But the texture is really weird. It's gritty. It doesn't, it doesn't look right with the almost sort of clean color style and just art style you're going with this map. This is just gritty and out of place, and it doesn't look right. And it's just really blocky. Like, you could just have a bundle of wires going into one and then just have a mess of wires going about, or something that isn't this, because in your current state it's a little bit hard for what you can do with that, but you have to come up with something. So just a little bit of thought to go into. Yeah, again, this area kind of feels a bit weirdly mashed together. This is almost a warehouse theme, but the warehouse has to be spy tech, so it's using spy tech assets, and it kind of begins to look a little bit weird. This wall is weird. Why does it exist? Computers. Oh, I didn't notice that at first. Having two sets of computers on top of each other seems a little bit weird, but I don't know what these are doing, but hey, whatever, I guess. Okay. Oh god. What's next? Oh yes, A site. We'll check the control point of this map. This map uses a unique gimmick where robots start capturing the gate. They don't actually start capturing the gate. One of these... Oh god, what's going on with bitmaps on this? One of these open up... Well, actually, not bitmaps, the LOD, whatever. One of these will open up and the robots have to shoot it. They have to destroy the dispenser in there. The dispenser has a shit ton of health, actually. I think I can check now. Okay, 150. But it takes a lot of shots for them to kill. And there's a few problems that come along with this idea. First of all, you are very restricted in what classes can actually do something on the control point. You know, scouts in Manhattan or any other gatebot map, you know, they're good because they are fast. They can get to the control point fast. Again, with the out of place soundscape, but it's but in this case, scouts use the scatter gun, so they're spraying all over the place. They can't hit for shit at this range, and you expect them to be able to hit like 100 shots on this dispenser. And when you take a bullet drop off, because you can't use crits on these, you can't have them be super good critting devices. No, buildings don't take crit damage, so you're not getting anything out of that. And again, with the soundscape, I wish I could just turn this off. You get soldiers, which can actually deal some damage to them. Pyros. Pyros are shit at this because they can't reach it. They can't just go up here and be like, boom, because that's not what they're being told to. They're being told to stand right here and do something. Demomen can kind of hit. Heavies can kind of hit, but again, fall off begins at this range, so. And that's about it. The other problem with this idea, other than the fact that it takes a lot of damage for robots to do anything. I watched in the demo a giant rapid-fire soldier almost destroyed a dispenser and captured this gate. But what happened is that players decided to exist. Players appeared here and started shooting at it. And because buildings, especially dispensers and teleporters in Manda's machine are always like the least considered thing to shoot. They only decide to actually shoot at them when there's nothing else in the area for them to target. So, you know, they can be shooting up here at this, but then suddenly a player appears from here, so it's like, oh, I'm no longer going to do my objective. I'm going to shoot you now. Because the objective is to destroy the dispenser, but the dispenser does not, it's not their priority target in base Manda's machine. There's nothing you can do to fix that. They will always consider that their lesser priority. And so as soon as a player comes along and challenges them, they suddenly give up their task and start shooting at them. And it makes the presence of, it makes the rush of getting to them a little bit like less rewarding, because you know, on gatebot maps they're constantly capping this and you have to destroy it, and it feels good for destroying them and stopping them from capping, while as per normal, once you're standing right here and just like kiting around this like a soldier or just engaging a soldier, it loses a bit of that fun and excitement of, you know, stopping it, because it's just like, okay, how long can I just distract this boy for? And then they don't do anything. So yeah, and this doesn't really scream out, like, I feel like there's no reason for there to actually be a capture zone. They might as well just come along and then just start shooting at this stuff. Because there's no reason for them to actually stand up here other than to get a good view. But once they stand up here, you know, the gate capturing stuff starts. You know, you get the beeping and, you know, you think like, uh-oh, I need to go stop them from capping, but instead they're just shooting this, and then it stops when you appear, and it's like, oh, I need to shoot you now. And then it stops, all capturing stops, and gameplay comes to a halt. So yeah, that's my idea on this gimmick, I'm gonna call it, because it is sure gimmicky, and I don't believe it really works in the way you want it to. So, is my fault. Because this whole area makes it... If you didn't look up, which, by the way, it is hard for players to look up. Like, you come into here from here, and you never... Like, this never really catches your eye. It's only until you see a giant soldier blasting up here. It's like, well, what the fuck? Why is there no cap progress? What were you shooting at? You look up. Oh, I see. So, yeah, this doesn't... I don't know if this really works. Also, there's a bit of texture weirdness going on here, again with the almost seems like confusion of what you want your map theme to be, actually, because you have a normal brick here, while the rest of this area, the rest of this indoors is Spytech. You have normal bricks here, so I don't know what you're going with that, but it looks odd. Like, very much differs from the rest of the area. I don't know what this traffic cone is doing here. It seems like something you tossed here, not over there where it's doing nothing. So yeah. Oh, this door, yes. First of all, I don't know what this hallway is supposed to actually serve in real life. You have this door, it has this, which I'm not sure. It looks like you wanted this to be an elevator. Like you wanted an elevator to be connected to this. But then you realized once you have made this connecting piece, you didn't actually have enough room for it to fit or something. Or it's like you didn't want the detailing to get in the way of the gameplay space that would be here. Like you could have an elevator down here and it'd be fine. But there's nothing here, and it looks like it's supposed to be like some sort of piece of an elevator, but there is no elevator piece here. So, what's it for? This door doesn't do anything over it goes up. So, I don't know what this is trying to do. Okay, get rid of this soundscape. Replace it with an actual soundscape used in the map. Because I don't know what this soundscape is trying to convey to me, other than the fact that you've recorded a bunch of stuff in your house and you put that into the map because, hey, custom soundscapes exist, I might as well make my own. Because there's nothing being there's no actual, like, scenery being told with this soundscape. It's just random sounds. The rest of the time, it's just complete silence. And in RC1, there's nothing. And yeah. So I would give it this. Do like a foundry, like almost foundry middle area interior, or something warehousey, something that isn't just nothing. So yeah, this door has no purpose to exist. It does nothing. This forklift, then by extension, makes no sense being here. There's nowhere for it to go. Why is it here? Who would use this hallway? It's just a drop down. Put an elevator here. Do something with it. Another thing that I've been noticing with this map is that looking up. What the fuck is this? Oh, it's a vent. With no collision. So yeah, this is a problem. Looking up oftentimes reveals very dark props or very spotty lighting. There's very little bouncing happening around, and I can barely make out stuff up here. Why, we are not really supposed to be looking up. This is a thing you want players to be looking at action, not looking up or straight down or anything. But if you're actually walking around looking at scenery, these are pitch black and they look weird. Which is a lot about this map, is that it looks weird. Anyway, I feel like I think we actually have a soundscape now. Cool. Let's go over this area. And this is one of the pieces that I want to talk about this map's layout, which I said I wasn't really going to touch up on the layout at all, but it is something that I have noticed over countless playtests of your map. You haven't changed anything about this layout based on feedback. And I don't think I gave you too strong of layout feedback. I should have, but I never really got around to it because I didn't really too hugely enjoy the layout of this map. This is like the general layout of it. I didn't really enjoy too much, so I didn't really give out a whole lot in terms of layout feedback. But this map hasn't really changed a whole lot, if for the better. Because I could probably load up A1, run around, and this map would just about be the same. Some things would be different. You have a lot more props here. And it changes up the layout a little bit, but the same general layout exists. Apparently you've been told that this flank is kind of pointless in a way. I don't know. Like, there's not really a whole lot of, like, this whole area is weird, and another judge would be able to explain that better than I can, because I don't know how they felt playing with this, but yeah. And then you have this entire wire fence with a weird hole out in the middle of it for sniper bots to look out into and be like, this is an area I can snipe in. And it feels weird because it feels like it's trying to do what Manhattan does with a flank route right in front of the players. However, it's high up, so they can sometimes miss it. But this is a lot more obvious than Manhattan's, because you see it as you're coming in, because you're starting off from low ground and you have to look up to see everything else. It just naturally comes into view. Manhattan's flank route is extreme. It's really high up, and there's a little area where snipers can drop down into and snipe for a little bit, but then they move on from there. And you have to divert your attention over to here to fight them. But I don't know, it feels weird in a way. Again, I'm probably not giving my best feedback for this area as other judges would have, but it feels really weird, and I don't entirely like it. Oh yeah, and then of course you have a problem where the flank becomes too flanky, because the robots come down to here, and it feels like they would join the fight down here, but instead they go all along down here and go along here. So like they go here if they're a gate bot, or they go here if they're normal bot, and it feels like they're wasting a lot of time by doing this major flank on you, because not a whole lot of robots spawn from the looks of your mission. So from here at least, that Pyro was able to deal with them pretty well. They were pretty easily dealt with, so yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. Again, with artistic choices, this is like the only time you use this wall texture other than in red spawn. Again, it feels out of place. It feels weird. Why does it exist? I don't know. I don't know, because it just snaps right to that. And it feels like a lot of whiplash, because it feels, I'm saying it feels a lot, but it's a major different feel than the rest of the map, or the rest of the area. No, here you are using it here. Yeah, this is weird. You're like storing giant metal crates. I don't even know how you get, the big metal claws exist, but you're storing it on tile, man. Put some concrete there. And that kind of touches up on something that I recommended, and that is make this a lot more gritty. You're going for a sort of hidden spy tech area, but the hidden spy tech thing doesn't really work when the whole thing is spy tech and you can see the spy tech from outside, so major like this. I feel like spy tech kind of works a lot better if as if you looked into it, you wouldn't really see too much of it. Or if it's like the facade continue on a little bit inside. Like if you had this room be a lot more grittier, and then you had a smoother transition into the Spytech theming. Because over here, we suddenly lose all of that, and we are now in a normal warehouse sort of feel, where instead where you can like, I don't know, the Spytech theming is weird, and you could just have a warehouse in here. It's a lot more generic, but I feel like it would just fit a lot better. It depends on how you want to do the facade, which I don't think works right now. Because you look at something like 2 Fort in a way, and you know the facade is that there's a big giant metal vault door preventing you from entering the Spytech area. Or like the little barn house, little shed that goes down into the Spytech. It's still a shed with the stairway going in there. It's less obvious than if I was standing out here and I looked in. It's just, oh, here's an entire facility with giant robot claws. That's my thought on that. You can decide. You can decide on how you feel about me giving you that feedback, but it's in a way where at this point in its development, I don't want to pass this map for Manus vs. Machine, because it feels all over the place, and it feels very unfocused, and it feels enough that I don't really want it in the campaign. So that's my thought on that. Again, with the out of bounding, you have really bumpy displacement, and I think I kind of see what you're going for, like the kicking of dirt or something, I don't know. But you have really bumpy displacements here, and then it goes straight to flat as you go in. So really bumpy and really rushly made, and then just flat. No sort of smoothing done, no sort of gradual climb, no sort of divots and variation in this area. It just flattens. Like it almost might as well be concrete, because it's just so flat. Oh yeah, and then you added this later in development. I don't know when, but I see no point for this when this stair exists, when going around exists. It's quite the awful prop jump, because you're wasting so much time while robots are coming in behind you and shooting at you. Because it's like, oh, here I go climbing this, because this is a mess. I don't like it, and I really hate prop jumps that are just really obvious prop jumps, and especially when you don't rotate any of your props. None of these seem like they were actually sort of tossed here, or stored here. They're all perfect aligned. They're all the same orientation, so there's no actual difference in them. They all go the same way, and all nicely stacked up, and it feels unnatural. And this prop jump just, I don't like prop jumps being so close to the main fighting zone, which is going to be this area. It just feels weird. Oh yes, these red holograms. You saw them, and you were probably questioning why I haven't noted on them yet. It's that because they're related to Gate A, and that's captured. A second bomb appears and takes the path that it's marked. Which, this also feels kind of silly when they go up all this way and go back to this area, when they could, I don't know, take the left path, not take any of these at all. I don't know. Because I feel like if you just had it going along here, it's a lot more obvious, and you don't need this red hologram, because they're going the same way. But if you don't want them to go the same way, I guess it works. But this feels like a really roundabout way of doing so. Oh yes, nitpick. This room is dumb. This room is weird. These crates couldn't get in here. This feels like a weird space. You could just have this be a normal staircase and nothing would change, because this feels like a weird place for just a computer console to be in. You get in from here. I mean, you're just watching as people go along their day while you're typing away at the piss-colored computer, because it does kind of, it's, the coloring on it's not great. I'm gonna be brief on that. The coloring on this is, the lighting on it is not good. So is this. It just looks like you pointed a yellow flashlight on it. It's like here. You can hear a soundscape here. It sounds nice. The rest of the map is silent, because that's like an ambient generic. These are weird signs, but I don't like the Manco signs at all. Even in Amanda's machine, I've lost my touch with them. Something like this feels a little bit weird, but I kind of like the transition into here. It feels properly spy tech in a way. I just said this is weird, but now I don't think it's weird. I think it's kind of a doorway here that kind of makes me question it. Like, it transitions straight from tile to gritty concrete. But this feels like almost properly spy tech. But then you get this big old sign. I don't know. This layout is, again, weird. You have ramps going into each other. You have a single hallway which has like 2 forms of height. You get one long shot. you just get this hallway and then this upper area. Actually, oh my god, there's no actual height change from here. Oh no. I mean, you can do something like that if you do it good, but I think this kind of makes your layout a little bit boring. Because, at the very least, any map changes it up a little bit, even though up divots and down divots and... Anyway... yeah, the layout's weird, and I don't really feel like you've really listened. I mean, if I feel like I noted this in our first few playtests, where it's like I'm not too big of a fan of this map. I'm not a fan of this area. I'm not a fan of it just being one long hallway. I'm not. I feel like I'm getting into that part. Similar to when I was looking at volcanic activity, where I almost say that this map is irredeemable. I feel like you could do something with this map if you changed some things in it. First of all, remove the engineer spot here, or do something with it, because at the current moment, an engineer spawns here. Sets up like an engineer. You had this happen in the demo. Engineer spawns, gets all the way over here, sets up. Suddenly, it's locked off this entire area because there's no real way to get here that is just forms into this one area. It almost makes a choke in itself. Because an engineer here, if you're a scout, pyro, demo man kind of, but you can deal. Heavy in a way, engineer, like medic. There's no way you're getting past this sentry gun without it noticing you. Because all the routes to this area are one way, there's no real way for you to avoid it. And that may not be too big of a problem, but it is annoying if you don't have an engineer teleporter set up, because it, somehow it got destroyed, because there's not a whole lot of ways you would prevent robots from spotting your teleporter and not having it get taken out, because they can see everywhere on this. There is no little divots that you can hide into. There's no little hidey holes. There's nothing like Coal Town Coal Town, where even decoy in a way, where there's an area that players can use to pick up ammo, take cover, maybe take some pot shots at robots. Like, you could hide a teleporter here, but yeah, a teleporter will die on this map, but having to go through here is a little bit dangerous because if there's a sniper or there's an NG, it can make it a lot harder. I mean, a sniper, you can avoid it because it's probably watching here, but an engineer, it can set up and just hold down. Oh yeah, these vents. They're weird. That camera, it's weird. It's pitch black. Yeah, I think you get that. This is a really long staircase. Yeah, a lot of things where it's just like, oh, this is really weird. Actually, there's no reason why you would really use this since it's not really taking you anywhere. You would probably use one of these two routes, and actually you'd probably be using this route to get there. You know, there's the engineer there. You maybe head up here to get by a little bit, and then you have to engage, and you don't have any teammates around, and that becomes a little bit of a problem for you, because engineers have a shit ton of health, and they can infinitely build their sentry. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on that. I really don't like that engineer spot. But yeah, this layout, I'm not too huge of a fan of personally. Again, I haven't actually played it, but it's real weird. I'm not a fan of it. It's a straight shot with not a whole lot of height variation. Well, in the main bomb path, like if it's going this way, there's no change in that. You kind of want at least a little bit of change in every bomb path. Because the bomb can go up here, evidently, from this. And I feel like that looks nice, but no, it doesn't really happen a whole lot. I'm not even sure if robots can take this route up, which is probably a good thing because it looks super small, but I don't know. There's like two different heights in this map overall. It's high ground and mid ground, and robots don't really seem to use the. I think I remember this map. Robots had the high ground almost all of the time, and whether or not that still happens, I don't know. I'll have to watch the demo again, but it doesn't really make for too interesting gameplay, because because a lot of combat's going to be happening at one or two height variations, and there's no major height variation. And what seems like the main pathway, it's all happening around it, which is something that happens kind of valley-ish that I've talked about in volcanic activity. But here, at least, it seems to be a little bit more dynamic in that. So I hope that all made sense. Again, I haven't played this map too much, but generally seeing as this map's layout hasn't changed too much, it's something I wanted to comment on, because if I probably loaded up A1 right now, I would, other than the fact that it is dev textured, and this is probably the front scene the most changed. It probably hasn't been too much actually changed. So yeah, that's my general thoughts on this. I'm not sure if there's too much that I want to go over for the time being before I get into nitpick territory. I mean, I will note that this resupply station, the door isn't open before the wave starts. After this only opens when the wave ends. It doesn't open on map spawn, which you want it opening on map spawn. So add that to a logic audio that you have somewhere in your map. And as well as that, I think I can actually get it from here. This has way too short of a fade distance. I'm not even sure why you're putting a fade distance on a resupply station in the first place, because it is very easy to spot. You can spot it from here, you can spot it through here, you can spot it in a lot of ways, and it just pops in and it's really obvious, and you just shouldn't have a fade on something so major anyway. So yeah, don't fix this and don't do that. Yeah, overall, I hate to say it, but this doesn't feel like a release candidate. It says RC1, but this feels like an early beta. But I feel like part of the problem is that since this is coming from a relatively newer mapper, you don't know too much of the actual dev process that goes into things. So you end up with misaligned lamp props, I guess. But, you know, I feel like you've changed the theme of this enough times, and I don't really know what I would recommend to you. Oh yeah, in this corner, I am like 99% sure this is structurally unsafe. Where you just have a bite coming out of this and just window. It's like the only area where there's window in this, and it feels dangerous. Like, it feels like this would cause this piece to collapse. There's no structural support in the corner here, which I'll have to check up if that's an actual big problem, if there's a chunk missing out of this. But this feels real awkward, and it's like, whoa, you just have a chunk missing there? It feels like the building is gonna come down, and then you have these really thick walls. These are huge walls. I feel like they'd come collapsing down. Like, there's no supports in this of it. Like, you have a little bit here, but it's absolutely no support, so I assume they're all ingrained into the ceiling. They would be. But it makes it look like there's no structural support here, and it's like, ooh, you sure you want to be doing that? Yeah, a bit of awkward, out of bounds detailing. Like, what is this? What is this tunnel supposed to do? What? What? Yeah, that's generally my thoughts on this map. It's not incredible. It's It needs a lot of work to get it into a state where I feel like I would accept this map into Madness vs. Machines, because at the current moment, the layout and the detailing leaves a sour spot for me, and I'm not too huge on it. Also, this is weird. What is this triangle supposed to do? It's not doing anything. What is it supposed to do? At least the cranes are nice. I do like the sort of work you went into these cranes. Yeah, you know, they're that. It's a little brushwork that makes me happy. Again, using the diamond thing on something that doesn't need the diamonds. Because that's for you're putting your feet onto, not just detail. You don't put that on stuff like this. You put that on stuff like this. Okay, I'm rambling. So I will get out of here now, as long as there's nothing else that I really see that I feel like needs attention. Now here's all the icons you used. Here's your 3D skybox. Like, you never even touch this, and it makes it just dip down. It looks weird, even with the huge intense fog you're doing. It looks weird. Look at stuff like, I think Bad Water has a really nice 3D skybox. Yeah, Bad Water. Look at Bad Water, I guess. And get rid of this soundscape.